and welcome back to this edition of Oscar Talks. Another beautiful Sunday and spring Sunday in Arizona. If you are not in Arizona, you are in a different state or outside of states, and you're watching this. Thank you for tuning in. You guys have no idea what you're missing. The weather is fantastic. It's just like perfect to be on the patio and hopefully having a cocktail if you drink alcohol or any other type of entertainment, watching the show, watching sports, whatever makes your life easier at the end of a Sunday afternoon. If this is your first time, my name is Oscar de las Salas. It says right there, Oscar. By the way, the camera is just a little fuzzy here. There you go. So my name is Oscar de las Salas. I opened these podcast, I started calling it, but then it became a show, etc., etc. It's a live broadcast at the beginning of the pandemic because I needed to talk with the community. I needed to find out what was happening in the community with the world of arts more than anything else. All of our artists and people that are associated to the world of arts and the nonprofits, because at large they are benefiting from all of us who work like 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, or 8 hours a day, let's say, but they get the benefit of us giving back. And it's been difficult for them, very, very difficult. And that brings me to my first subject tonight. Sorry, I'm just going to, before I go, I just time out. I'm just going to tell you something. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are, last that I checked, more than 6,000 people subscribed in different platforms. The peak of the broadcast, it was 770,000 people. That's beyond of what I expected, beyond of what I ever imagined. But in reality, sometimes this is just only like hundreds of us, but is the repeat that built the curve for this podcast. So I had to stop because I got sick. We can get into that later on, but I restarted, and this is my second podcast after I decided to launch it on Sundays at 6 p.m. Tonight, to talk to the community and get information from the community. How are they doing? What's happening? So my first shout out, I have to admit, and I have to say, my first thank you is to the people from Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Arizona. They put together a wonderful um, hybrid event on Friday night, and my husband Gary and I had the opportunity to go to, and it was fantastic. It was outdoors at the JW Marriott Hotel, outside in the patio. It was incredible. I'm trying to find some pictures so I can share with you guys how the event looked like, and I think they exceeded their goal financially, which is uh, a huge help for this organization that works with in mentoring. They actually um, the I just received a text, and I think their silent auction is still on, or it was about to close. I can't remember. But if you can go to their website or go to Big Brothers Big Sisters and give them a hand, that would be highly appreciated. So thank you, Laura Capello. Thank you, the team. Thank you to the co-chairs. Thank you to all the people that attended to the event. My God, this is so self-centered, but I'm just going to show you one of my pictures with my friend. This is so bad, but I'm going to show you my picture with my friend Susan Wong, who is a businesswoman, very, very prominent businesswoman in town, and she was dressed to the nines, and we're both vaccinated, and we were able to hug and talk without the mask. And it's just kind of like my first time out, and that I went through when I went through in the hospital, so it was kind of like nerve wracking for me, but I kind of uh, ease in through the night, and I felt very, very good at the end of it. And we were outdoors, so it was fantastic. So congratulations to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. It was an incredible event, and so happy that they reached their goal. Now, yesterday, last night, I've been working with my dear, dear friend Anita Lang for gosh, how many months? I can't even begin to tell you. Several months now to create um, a virtual event to co-chair an event for Scottsdale Arts. And that event took place last night. It was virtual, was produced by Inspired Media 360 and our fantastic friend and journalist of the best, Carrie Pena, did an incredible job with her team on storytelling. What is Castle Arts? Why is so important to support the local wall of arts in Scottsdale? Scottsdale Arts are four institutions: Public Art, Canal Convergence, which is one of their events, SMOCA, the Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art, that I'm proud to be board of for more than a decade, and also the Scottsdale Center for the Performing Arts. So that event was last night, was virtual, like many events had to go virtual because of the current situation. And I'm going to show you one of the best pictures because we pre-taped some of this, some of the show. You can go into my social media portals and you can see you can repeat the show and see it again. But this is a telling picture. This is Carrie Pena doing Carrie Pena. She's talking to Gerd Wusterman. He is the CEO and president of Scuttle Arts. And she was engaged trying to understand the the message and trying to make sure that her steps were clear and the what she was saying or through the script was in place. So I am very proud of what happened. I think we're on $150,000 and it keeps going up. um, I thank you for your support. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to chair. Anita Lang, hats off. To the team at Skazalart, hats off. This is all of us during the pre-taping. Anita, Gerd, myself. Um, Everything was done with CDC guidelines. Everything was done as is supposed to be these days, caring for each other. And all of us were vaccinated, which was good. So we feel a little bit of at ease because we're vaccinated. And with that in mind, and nonprofits in mind, I just want to share with you information that I have to share because this is part of one of the biggest networking events in town that is going to happen hybrid, and this is going to be happening next, I believe, is Wednesday. It's Society of Chairs, and this event is put together by Door Front Doors Media, led by our wonderful friend Andrea Evans. It's Society of Chairs. Yep, Wednesday, April 28th. So it's not this one, but the next one, 2021. And then I'm running here on the scroll. I'm running who do you have to contact, which is Andrea at frontdoorsmedia.com, or you can go to frontdoorsmedia.com to purchase tickets. It's virtual, it's hybrid, so it's virtual and in person. But we would like to have as many people as in person as you feel comfortable with, is with all the CDC guidelines, social distancing, and so on. And guess who's going to be honored? No more, no less than an institution in this town, our wonderful surfer girl, Billy Joe Herberger. You cannot have, I don't think there's any other state in the States that has a surfer girl, and I don't think that we have any other person like Billy Joe around that I know of. Incredible friends, and I consider them my American parents because I love them and they do incredible work within the world of arts. So she's going to be honored by the Society of Chairs, and this is all the chairs from all the nonprofits. Now, here in the comments, I would love for you guys to receive. I get a lot of comments. I'm sorry if I'm not able to respond to all of them. This is one man show, one person show. I do everything. You hear me clicking here because I'm the one who's doing the production here. So here in the comments and through the week, let me know if this idea is cool or not. Let me know. So here's the idea. When you are a chair person of an institution, you want to raise funds and you want a lot of people to attend. You want to sell tickets and you want to get donations. You want to get sponsors and you want to get silent auction and live auctions. So all of us go like crazy, like knocking on doors, calling people and so on. And we're trying to get people to come to our event. Here's the idea, hear me out. We went through what is supposed to be, is about to end, our season for fundraisers. I want to have an open mic evening where you pitch your fundraiser, your event, or your next nonprofit for next fall. You have a lot of people in front of you. There is hundreds of people, like thousands of people now, thank you so much, watching this. So you have an audience. So I want you guys to call on the comments or send me a DM or a message and let me know if that's a good idea. If we can give 5 minutes to each nonprofit or each organization that has an event, fall and winter, and let them tell us their story. How about that? I'm brilliant. I'm brilliant because what happens is that they're you see them in the magazine here, you see them on TV there, you see them scrolling on the websites or social media. Well here you can do that, and you have the people that will contribute. So thank you to all of you who donate. Thank you to all of you. If you support a nonprofit, if you support an organization, thank you, because that is basically another meal on your table that you give to somebody else some way. So thank you. So here is, tell me and I'll put it together. Okay, enough about that. Thank you, Andrea Evans, for reminding me all this. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. Now, my guest today. So my guest. So how do I define my guest? You guys know who it is because I kept announcing it on social media. But someone who has 20 plus years within the world of arts and is able to continue driving the world of arts from the administration point of view and from the fundraising point of view and legal point of view forward is a champion. Anyone who takes a step back and helps the institution from a perspective of money making, administration, HR, all the things that are part of an institution and organization is a champ for me, because that's the other level that they don't teach you in school. If you are an actor, they teach you to act, they teach you to write, they teach you all that. But the day that it comes to your taxes, or the day that it comes to like market yourself or turn your accounting books into whoever, or sell yourself, by the way, or sell your art, you have no clue. So that is a tool that it needs to happen for artists, and I'm an advocate to that. So you need to learn the administration portion of your business. Anyway, so this man is a champion. So I'm going to run his wonderful presentation pretty quick, but please leave comments and please leave your messages, or if you have questions, we can ask them as we go. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today. So that was the introduction for who is going to be my guest today, Mr. Joseph Benesh. Hello, sir.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we're fine.
Excellent. Wow. Can I have that? If I ever just go on any meeting, can I just play that first in all of my Zoom meetings ever, forever?
This is just like, look at me. This is me, my life. Ask questions afterwards.
That was amazing. And you have some of my favorite pictures on there with my motorcycle, which I was on earlier today, and my VW bus, which belonged to my grandfather, that I still have and drive regularly. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
we fall in love with some things. So this is kind of like an overview of your life, and I do it for every guest that I have, which is a pleasure to sit with someone and kind of talk about their lives, um, what do they do for work, and why did I select them through a bunch of people that I receive information from. I decide to pick some people up, and then thank you for sitting with me for a quick conversation.
Thank you. I'm honored. And I promise that I did not coordinate with Oscar. I just knew I wanted a splash of color because I know you're very fashion forward. So I thought instead of black t-shirt, I went with red t-shirt. But I like that we're matching, Oscar. I'm honored to be matching you a little bit.
This is fantastic, and thank you. Honors to me and for the show because it looks fantastic on camera. It's gonna be like, wow, look at those guys. They're just like so fashionable. So, I mean, I
Uh-huh.
just wanted to ask you quick, like the quick question or the first question to start the conversation. How did you get to Arizona? Because I see that you traveled back east and came back here. I just want to know a little
Mhm.
bit uh, of your tradition with Arizona and how did you get here? Because we all go through that promenade to get to the Sonoran Desert.
Yeah, it's so true. And when I first got here, I used to call it a rest stop in life. So my little journey was from Spokane, Washington, where you called out, where I was born and
Yep.
lived early on. I also went to Fresno, California, where I spent a chunk of my schooling. Graduated from McLean High School in Fresno, but I was also spent time in Long Beach, California, and then a lot of all my summers growing up in near Ontario, California, a little town called Upland,
Yeah.
California, a little town with my grandparents. I moved to Arizona when I was 28 years ago, for those who want to do the math on where I got all my gray hair. And I moved here because my mother and my brother were coming here. My mom was a traveling nurse. She took a position out here. And I was ready to get away from California. I love California, but I love to visit it. And I was just kind of living the good bachelor life out there. I wasn't really doing much, spending a lot of time partying. And I just knew
Being
that I
young.
wasn't really going anywhere fast. What's that?
Being young. You were
Yeah,
young.
being
That's it.
young.
Yep.
hmm But I knew that there was more, and I knew that wasn't like the track to wherever I wanted to go, which wasn't like just that lifestyle. So my mom took this job out here, and I said, "Hey, how about I come with you?" She of course said, "Great." Growing up, it was my mom, my brother, and I. So for me, that's family. My family was the three of us. So a very small, close knit family. To be honest, very very poor.
Mhm.
We were technically homeless a couple times, living with friends and family. She was working really hard to keep food on the table, keep a roof over our heads. So for me, that was family. We did lose her about 4.5 years ago. She passed of a stroke. But anyway, so I had this tight knit family. So we all came out here, and I was not a fan. That's probably partly because, and I don't mean to throw shade here, but her first job was in Globe, and we lived in a trailer in Apache Junction. So this
Uh-oh.
is Apache Junction 28 years ago. So my first impression of like the Metro Phoenix in Arizona was Apache
Yeah.
Junction.
Uh-oh.
That's not the best impression for a
Well,
20-year-old.
coming from the green and the beautiful green landscapes up north in Washington State, I can't imagine.
Yeah, yeah, total
Yeah.
change. So I literally I called it my phrase for Arizona was a rest stop. This is a rest stop in life. I'll go here, I'll recoup, regenerate, but what I didn't know is that the energy here in Arizona is magic. I mean, there's
Yep.
something in the desert here that I'm deeply in love with. And so that was that journey. And then New York was really for grad school. I went there with an open mind, like maybe East Coast, maybe I'd
Yep.
become an East Coaster. But after several months, I realized I was a West Coast boy. And as much as I loved it there, I was there for 2 years, getting my master's. I knew that I wasn't an East Coast kid. I like the pace of life out here. I like the people out here. And so I came right back.
So landing in Arizona, you went strictly into working on your field. I know we saw that you graduated from NYU, you went to ASU, and you had a master's back east. And then you always been working within the world of arts, or you had to do odd jobs like we all do to start?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, definitely those odd jobs first. So I was one of the kids in school who did both drama and I played football.
Hmm.
So I lived in a few different worlds. And again, growing up poor, you live in some other,
Yeah.
less mainstream worlds. So my junior year, I had to choose because things were going well with drama, and we were doing like competitions and stuff. So I had to choose. Thankfully, I chose drama because I don't think I'd be playing for the Raiders right now. As much as I love them, Raider Nation. Sorry if that offends anybody, but
It's okay.
now the Las Vegas Raiders. So I chose drama, and that was obviously like the best choice for me. But I loved it. I mean, that was definitely my strongest community.
Yeah.
Those are my friends. I still have some of those friends to this day. And so shortly after I moved to Phoenix, I started as an actor. So I was acting all around town. My first play was actually at Theater Works, which is now at the
Mm.
Peoria Center for the Performing Arts. It was
Yep.
my very first play at the barn. But then I got hooked up with Planet Earth Theater, which was that underground, avant-garde, like super experimental, rough, beautiful theater. I mean, everything we built with our hands, repurposed. It was in a really rundown warehouse that was definitely not up to any kind of fire code. And that was truly some of the best and worst theater I ever did.
But you
And
did what you had to do in order to explore who you were and trying to like work in the field that you knew, right?
yeah, yeah. And that was honestly Planet Earth Theater. I'm so sad it's not around. Although we've got great theaters that have come up since then. Stray Cat Theater and Nearly Naked Theater, I Theater Collaborative, who actually worked with Planet Earth, Chris Haynes. But what's really magical about that kind of like rough and tumble, grassroots, throw it together theater is that literally on the same night, you can have the best and the worst night. And
Yep.
that holding that kind of dichotomy, like in your mind and in your heart of like, this is the best day and the worst day. This is the best performance and the worst performance. I think that holding that kind of dichotomy and that spectrum that lives within there, which is really true of the universe, because the universe does not live in black and white. The universe
Yep.
has no binaries. I think that's a great lesson for people in terms of like how our brains and our society is supposed to work. We're all in the middle. We're all shuffled around, and theater
So
teaches you that.
so you found yourself like back to your maître, back to your field, and you're
Mhm.
like, okay, this is not gonna be good if I don't have food on the table, or if I don't create a family, if my aspirations, like we all do when we are young, we kind of lose that perspective, and then we come back to it. It's like, come back to reality a little bit when we pass the 30s. What was the next step after you did theater? How did you get? Let's put it this way. How did you find yourself going through the steps to get where you are today?
Mm, great
Was it
question.
natural?
Because I never saw myself coming to be advocacy, or
Hmm.
so Planet Earth was that first step because from there I actually got to work with Child's Play. So my day job
Mm.
was working with Child's Play. So I had this wonderful life where I was doing like family theater during the day with Child's Play, and that's a good paycheck. Child's Play pays their actors really well.
Very well.
And so I was able to make my living. So I was running around doing children's theater during the day, and then at Planet Earth, running around naked and screaming and shouting at night on this like experimental stage. So I had the best of both worlds. And I thought, oh, I can do this. So then that's when I went to ASU. I didn't actually start back. I went to Phoenix College first for a few semesters and then ASU. So I didn't go to school until a later age. I didn't graduate from ASU until I was 30 or almost 30.
Is that the guy we're talking about?
And
Is that
oh,
the guy that we're talking about? I had to pull some things here and there. There are surprises for you, but I just wanted to show you that
wow.
yeah, lapel and that neckline. Right, and these are
Mm-hmm.
ruffles. Those are
Mm-hmm.
ruffles. Jesus
Mm-hmm.
Christ, you were really
I had that
avant-garde.
suit for a long time. Yeah. So I was
What
the
color?
Tempest.
What
I was
color?
I was a baby blue suit, of course, baby blue tux.
That's
And
okay. We'll forgive you.
yeah. And that was revision Shakespeare, which he would have wanted us to do. And I mean, literally, that was Greek tragedy, and it was a lot of original work. Yep, that was that. But somehow, between that and child's play, I knew I could make a living. So I went to ASU. But at ASU, not intentional, I discovered directing and I discovered nonprofit management. So I met a woman named Claire West there, who's still around. She lives in Tucson. She worked for the Arts Commission at the time. Mm-hmm. So my first internship coming out of ASU was with Claire West, because I think I called them up and I was like, by the way, I'm going to be your intern, so you should find something for me to do. Like, because I knew them a little bit and I knew Claire. So it was one of those things, like, you just put yourself there. You're like, I'm going to show up on Monday. You should probably give me something to do. And, but I started directing, and that was wonderful. I directed at a great theater in Iowa, of all places, called Okoboji Summer Theater. Did 2 summers there directing. And from that point on, I was really lucky. I had a career in the arts from that point on. So from 30 on, I've only worked in the arts. I got started at Phoenix Theater when I came back, because I was doing some overhire in their shop, building sets. And I'm standing in the hallway picking up my paycheck. And Vincent Van Vliet, who I think you may know, from Phoenix Theater, it was just kismet. I'm standing there in the admin hallway picking up my paycheck, and I overhear somebody who I didn't know say, "I need an assistant, and I just need someone who can show up on time and knows how to use a computer." So I was just like, I can do that. And so I started working for Vincent and became an associate general manager and had a lovely, amazing time there. I'm the biggest fan of Vincent and Michael. And then went from there to Stagebrush, and there to Theater Works. Got recruited over there right before they moved into the Peoria Center for the Performing Arts. Had a great, there we go. Well,
that's the man. Inclusive. That's the man that I know. If I remember correctly, if I have the timeline correctly, those were those years, because I just kind of like went through your lifeline, or sorry to say lifetime. Like, yeah, it's a lifeline, but anyway, you know what I mean. I went through all your life.
You can also tell by the hairline too, Oscar. You can judge the hairline.
Oh, don't we all? Oh my God, I am. Yeah, I can hear. Look at me. I'm getting that V that is difficult to like brush. Anyway, back to the subject. So then you started working with Vincent, and then, but that's when you realize, holy smokes, I can do something else, and these can be part of my trade, and I want to make sure that is not only about me. I want to help other people, right?
Yeah. And so my helping other people comes from, I mean, that was always built in. So who I am today is very, I wouldn't have guessed this, but it's very much who I was as a kid. And I'm informed by 2 things. My life is informed by the arts, because theater is literally what kept me in school. I was actually going to drop out my senior year and go live on the beach with my cousin and surf my days away.
I know about that. I heard that 9.9. At an interview.
And thankfully my grandmother said, don't do that. And so I went back to Fresno, and they had auditions, and I got in the school play. That's what kept me in school, was the school play. But the other thing that informs my life is, growing up poor, especially, as a white kid, sadly, because of the socioeconomics of our country, most of my friends growing up were people of color. So Black friends, Mexican. In Fresno, you say Mexican. Hispanic was a 4-letter word in Fresno. Yeah. So Mexican, Black, a large Hmong population, which is this like Asian population that comes out of Southeast Asia. It's called Hmong. It's Hmong. Is how it's spelled. Mong.
Okay, and that's not pejorative. That's not pejorative. Yeah. That's just the term. Okay, got it.
Yep. Okay. And so, but having all these friends really clued me into, because I heard stories of like my friends being treated differently. I mean, one of the first stories I remember, not that I had like the jargon to go along with it, but I was in like 2nd grade-ish, and one of my friends was in the cafeteria. My friend Juan, or Gavino, he lived down the street, and he and his brother were talking, and his brother talked about how he was followed around in the store. And the implication was that this was normal, that they would just get followed around. And I was in like 2nd grade-ish, I had no understanding of equity and social justice and oppression, but it did stay with me that I've never been followed around in a store. And obviously to this day, I've never been followed around in a store. And then, related to that, my brother has a mild disability. And so when you combine like growing up with my brother and the social justice stuff I was exposed to, the inequities I was exposed to, and the arts, that's still who I am today. So once I started getting in the arts administration, seeing the way that the arts impact people's lives, seeing that, arts as both this unifier that brings people in, but also this envelope that pushes outward, that challenges us, that asks us to listen differently to these performances, to the music, to the dance, to think differently. There's nothing else out there that both invites you in and helps you push outward at the same time.
So we all, as individuals, in many books, they are written about us as humans at this point in time, at this age, when we have a self-realization that we are, it's a triangle, it's a pyramid, a triangle, sorry, a triptych. So those three are arts, social justice. Which one was the last one? You mentioned three things.
Well, I mean, my brother's kind of part of that too. So,
Okay.
just being inclusive. Awareness. There you go. Yeah.
Awareness. So those things, all those terms I learned when I came to the States, because I was just totally, I was sheltered by my family and I had my own life and I just grew like you. It's like you have your own environment until you realize, wait a minute, this is happening to that person and that cannot happen to that person where the same grounds that I'm walking. So thank you for that. That's a big achievement because it's just a realization that at least from the point of view of social point of view of planet Earth, we all walk on a field that is plane, is one level. So thank you for that. But I know that you have a lot of memories from childhood. I just want to quickly run this because I want to ask you a question from your early years and the wonderful years. Check this out. So that's your one. Sorry, I mean I just went through like the file and I pulled all the pictures. But but I wanted you. The reason that I run this is because then we all realize, wait a minute. I mean, we lose perspective of who we are today because we haven't gone through those pictures, because we forget some of the steps we took to be here today. So some of the things that you were saying are clearly there. Your mother, your childhood, the people around you. And you can get emotional here because this is a program that is a family program. And trust me, I had to deal with my own little things when I came to the States because I was on my own, didn't have family here, nobody. And I found myself needing support and I didn't have it. This is before the internet. And what is today's social media? That was my journal. So what you all people are listening and watching and reading, that's my journal that I decided to make it public. So tell me about that journey for you. How do you keep in contact with your past?
Oof. Yeah, that's a great question because there are parts of my past that I cherish and I bring in and I hold on to pretty tightly. And there are parts of not so much my past, but there's decisions I've made to cut parts of it out. So you had two pictures of my grandparents in there, which is amazing that you did that because they were two of the most influential people in my life. So I had my mother, who was the most loving person on the planet. I mean, we did, as you heard, we did not have a lot growing up, but we had love because my mom, she told me when I was younger that, she did not have a good childhood She had very abusive parents. And when she had my brother and I, she said, I knew that it was my job just to love you every single day and to tell you that you're loved every single day and to hug you every single day. And that's who she was. She loved us, told us we were loved, told us that we were whole every single day growing up. Um, so while we didn't have sometimes material things, we had the most important thing that you can have, which is unconditional love.
And
And
and, and that you write those thoughts, or you keep them close to you. When do you open to that page?
you know, God, I mean, this is going to sound so cliche, but arts is that opening for me because not a lot of people know this because I haven't been doing this very much, but I have my pilot's license. And when I was getting it, I was really into it and it's so much fun to fly. And I talked to my mom. I was like, you know what, Mom, I think I might want to be a pilot. It was actually, I got it when I was at ASU. And my mom said, well, what about the arts?
Oh,
So my mom knew, as so many moms know,
yep.
that was my connection to the world, that was where I could plug into the world. So the arts is that working with kids or even just the advocacy work I do on behalf of people, that for me still has that strong connection to family, to justice, to sharing, that opening up. And then my grandparents, as I mentioned, I had my grandfather's VW bus. He had a bunch of VWs. They were world travelers. They were both pilots in the war, in World War II, and they had a world view unlike anybody else. So I'm very, very lucky that they were in my life, and I was with them every summer. So holding the arts in a very real and transformative place. I mean, it sounds cliche because it's my job to talk about how the arts change and literally save people's lives,
Yep.
but it's at my core because it's what kept me in school. And the longer I work in this field, the more people I find out that it saves. It saves children like
Yep.
me. It saves seniors who are finding maybe a second passion in life. We know, we have so many stories now of veterans who say this is what
Mental health.
literally kept me from trying suicide. I mean, we have all of these stories like documented. And so for me, it's just this one major cornerstone of our society that we have to hold on to. And sadly, Arizona's not very good at that in a few different ways.
Yeah. So you are telling us that you use your stories and your life as your experiences as a way to project yourself. Now, I always ask this question to the people that I have the chance to sit for a conversation with. If you're able to sit down with the young Joseph Benesh and in a park in a bench, what would you tell him to do, or what advice can you give him today?
I, I may encourage him to hurry up a little bit more. I always felt a little late to the game, but maybe not. I mean, there's life experiences there that still, make me who I am. But I did feel a little bit late. And then the other one would be, let that love out, a little bit sooner. Even though I had unconditional love, there was another side of my family, which was my biological father, who he's an okay person. There was no abuse there, but he's not. He doesn't love everybody in the way that I do, and so I had to cut him out of my life. I had to say, no more. You don't have a son anymore, is what I had to say, because of his views, his very hateful views that he was very public about. So there was still a reserved portion of me because of that. Like, I had unconditional love, and I had that with my mom and my brother and a couple family members, like my grandparents, ironically his parents. But there was still a reservedness to that. And the older I've gotten, the more I felt comfortable saying that. I mean, I put the word love all over the place. I put it in our newsletters. I put it in like my executive director notes, because if love is truly infinite, then we can love each other, including all the people we've never met. And I believe that's possible. And I believe, for me, that's not just sort of a platitude. That's just saying, hey, stranger, I love you. Like, I don't care who you are, where you are. The first thing you get from me is love and a want of understanding and inclusion.
Very
And
good. I mean, it's a subject that for some dudes and some
mm,
people out there may
mhm,
sound a little too uh, book written, platitude,
mhm,
Hollywood, many other places where they think that it is not to be said in public, and not to be said to people that you don't know. So thank you for that, because then with that word you are flattening once again, putting us in the same level, in the same table, to speak the same language. Back to little Joseph. What could you
mhm.
tell him in one sentence? And say, be early, enjoy life. What would be a good suggestion, a good thing to say?
I would say little Joseph, because I like that phrase. I would say little Joseph, it's okay to love and it's okay to share your love with other people more than like just the three people in your family. Because it took me a long time to let that out. And again, love is infinite. And I'm also very lucky, that I have my sort of station in life. There was less risk because my mom was very loving. There are people, I want to acknowledge the people out there who love and family has not been safe for, because there are lots of people like that. But I had a safe place at home. And just to maybe have started to share that sooner. I feel like I'm sharing that now, but I would say to young Joseph, like, it's okay to start sharing that sooner.
And then that sharing process, and that articulation of the word love has gone through your life, and still is it's today. It seems like you're looking for outlets and places to say your say. And I realized that you have a podcast as well. I did not know about this until I was like, what? He has a podcast. So this is an outlet for you to express yourself, associated with your current job, or is just, I
Hmm.
haven't heard any of
Hmm.
the podcasts, but
Yeah, it's the
tell us
job.
more about Arizona Uncensored.
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning this. And it has a new host as of like this week. I turned it over to a young woman, a young black woman who is in Flagstaff,
Uh-huh.
Madeline Slatton. She's amazing. Please tune in because I think she has one or two shows up now as of this week, this
Hmm.
past. But it's associated with Arizona Citizens for the Arts. It's a podcast, and it's meant to be, a version of any good podcast, which is a conversation
Hmm.
between arts and politics. So our
Whoa.
guests are either artists or politicians, typically state legislators.
Whoa.
And I wanted to do that because we need other channels to get engaged in our life, in our
Yep.
social and political life.
Yep.
You know, my day job, we hire a lobbyist. We have a great lobbying firm right now called Public Policy Partners. Diane McAllister is this great lady that
Hmm.
represents us. So we have that lobbyist who's put down at the Capitol. We have me also talking to legislators, but also talking to other arts groups and trying to keep people kind of plugged in. But there's so many other ways to reach people. So I thought a podcast would be a really straightforward, and they're still growing in popularity, and they're easy to access, and they're generally free.
Yep.
So I wanted to give other people a way to start getting involved in their life because, and when we chat, I think we've talked about this more than once. People in the arts are not any better about engaging in their politics than the average citizen is. And that sometimes breaks my heart because, as you've heard, like, I love the arts. I think, we are the
Yep.
chosen people on the planet. We think outside the box naturally. We push ourselves. There's a great saying about a performer, like somebody being on stage. Again, in this swirly mix between these two dichotomies, where it's the most selfish moment to put
Yep.
yourself in the spotlight and selfless moment because you're completely bare, on a
Correct.
live performance.
Correct.
Whatever happens, and you're out there sometimes on your own. So I love that concept that performer, which is true for any performing artist. It's the selfish and selfless moment that like clashes and swirls around in time and space. And but of course every artist exposes themselves. Visual artists put themselves out on canvases or their sculptures.
Yep.
So the podcast is another way to tap into people and say, hey, people, we need to wake up because this is our livelihood. It's our life. We're can I cuss on this show, Oscar?
Yeah,
I don't
I
remember.
mean, this is a family show. You can do whatever you
Yeah.
want.
Okay. I mean, we're really shitty at it, and
Point taken.
yeah, and I've seen this. So I've been involved with my organization as a volunteer for many years, and so this is not directed at any of my predecessors. The organization is directed at the whole arts sector.
Yep.
I've been going to Arts Congress, which is our day at the Capitol. If I can talk about this for a second.
Oh yeah, I
So
know.
Arts Congress.
It's
Yeah.
coming up, but we're not going to have it this year. We're going to have it. We're not because of
Well,
the
we had
pandemic.
it virtually in March, the first
Missed
week in
it
March.
because I love it. It's a great event.
Yeah, but normally it's a big party at the Capitol. It's a big lawn
Yep.
event.
Yep.
So most sectors do this, especially a lot of nonprofits do this. So you show up at the Capitol, you get the big tent, you got food, everybody shows up. Well, I've been going to this event for probably close to 20 years because I discovered it through college, through ASU, which is almost 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. I hope somebody's like writing this down, like, okay, 20 divided by 21. Like, anyways, 20 years ago, I started going, and I'll tell you, Oscar, and this is directed outwards at the whole community to invite them in and challenge ourselves to do better. On average, every year, the most amount of people we can get down at the Capitol to say, hey, arts are important, it's about
Mhm.
200 people.
I've been
200
there.
people from the entire state. And all the organizations that get support from the Arizona Commission on the Arts, which is where the money goes to, any one of these organizations could rally 200 people on their own if they wanted to.
Yep.
But we don't. And then after the budget comes out, we all sit around and say, oh, we don't have enough money, which is true. Like, we're one of the lowest funded states. Yet, did we show up en masse?
Yeah.
Did we put as much effort into our legislators as we do into like any grant writing that we do or donor cultivation?
Yeah.
So as a sector, and again, this is directed outward at my whole sector and myself at times. I mean, I showed up, but I certainly could have done more. So I'm not excluding myself in this. Like, as a sector, we're the arts. We're bad mofos. Like, we can make change when we want to. We have to, yep, there it is, the Capitol. We have to show up in a different way. If we don't show up in a different way, we won't get different results.
We have to walk the walk. If you do, I'm one of those that you said that I always say, if you want to make a difference, you have to be present. You have to raise your hand and be present.
Yeah.
So this is basically what it is.
Yep. And so for those who don't know, if I may, there's like a 3-step process for funding. So like, we've been behind the scenes, for a long time, and that is the way that the world worked. And so that's kind of the way things were done. I want to change how that works because I think in the future, things are going to be done differently. So in the past, well, not in the past, here's how it works. We go to the legislators and we say, hey, you need to care about the arts and put some money in the budget. The legislators put money in the budget, and then they give it to the Arts Commission, which is the state agency, and that's how it gets to everybody else. So there's this 3-step process: us, legislators, Arts Commission, and then the grants go out. But the average artist does not even know we exist. So that's something that we have to change. And again, that's not a slight. It's just kind of the way things have always been done. This is true of lots of other sectors. There's lots of other sectors that have like kind of a lobbying advocacy organization, and they're all pretty well hidden. I don't want to be hidden anymore. Like, I'm a theater guy. Like, I'm gonna like strip off like I did in Planet Earth Theater and run around the Capitol. That's probably not a good idea. But
you will get some attention, or perhaps you won't get no attention. I don't know. We will see. You can do it, and we all will watch, or we turn our TVs off. One of the two options.
Yeah, we got to change it. I'm going to change my tactics and see what works.
So today at the Capitol. So then let's go back to that, because that's very key at this point in time. Is artists don't know, artists in general, they don't know that there is a process to get those $2 million, to get them first, and then to get them allocated in order to get grants. That's the other thing. Artists, they have to learn how to write their proposals for grants. That's another step. But my point is, you have to lobby all these politicians. They are going through budgets to like to cover everything that benefit us. And that's where you guys, or you guys listen to me, that's where the Arizona Commission for the Arts resides. It's just like
Yep.
you are
There's
the
one of me right now.
that, and that's the other question. How big is your pool? How big is your staff?
Yeah.
Just you.
Hmm.
Imagine you are responsible, and that your shoulder should be. You have shoulder pads. You should have shoulder pads. Responsible of the entire. Yeah, exactly. But get big because it's true. You are responsible for the entire Arizona. It's not Phoenix. It's entire Arizona. How many artists do you have? I think we run a for the Governor's Arts Awards. We run a stats little page. I will look for it while you are talking, but so just give me a visual of numbers and how big and the process, if you would, just real quick, so we all understand.
For Arts Congress.
Yes, 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 for Arts Congress and for the arts
Yeah,
for Arizona. Go ahead.
yeah. So we are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. So anybody who's listening, we're a great organization because we're the group that leads to that $2 million. Not all of it, but well, I guess all of that part, and then other like that money gets matched in part by the NEA.
Mhm.
So we're actually responsible, in that chain of command, in partnership with Jamie Dempsey and the Arts Commission. We're responsible for that like $2.5–3 million of grant money that goes out. We have a great board. We've got a board of about 20 people right now. We're trying to make it more of a statewide board. We've got some great people on it. A couple of people from Yuma right now, and just me. It was 2.5 people before COVID, but now we're down to just one person because everything is shrinking.
Mhm.
Arts Congress is that advocacy day. That is the day to show up. And that happens in like February or March. And then, as you know, we just had our fundraising event. And that's how we get funds, because the money that I fight for every day,
Yeah.
Oscar, the money that I'm, harassing legislators for, we don't get any of that. We don't get any money from the state. We are purely a donation-based organization.
Wow.
So that's the other half of my job, is to make sure, people know our story and kind of know what we
Fundraising.
believe in, fundraising. So we've got this great board and me, the Arizona Commission on the Arts, to kind of widen that picture out.
Yep.
They grant to, I think it's like over 250 organizations, and that's all across the state. So that state, we work for the state money, goes in the budget, and the commission gives it out to the whole state.
So it's a three, like you said, it's a three-step process, and then with that three steps process, there is some funds that needs to be raised, and that's the event that is the Governor's Arts Awards. And like I said earlier, I had this year the opportunity to be part of the committee. Thank you for inviting me. But what I wanted to share is the breadth or the stats. This is very important to me. When we were talking, it's just like, so you have the responsibility to create this event, which you did on your own, and you were the producer. But this is what this event does. So run me through. Can you run through these numbers and tell me each one of them what is happening? What happened with that event?
Yeah. So normally it is a gala, like we've all been in galas, a big
Yeah.
ballroom. Mesa Art Center has been our gracious host for the last couple of years, and before that, the Phoenician and the Biltmore. So this year, because we couldn't have a gala, I actually thought we had a wonderful opportunity. This was a silver lining with COVID.
Yep.
Because I've been traveling the state a lot. And I'll tell you, Oscar, we live in a big, beautiful state, and I'm so honored and thrilled. And it's like the best part of my job is to travel to Yuma and Tucson and Prescott and Flagstaff and Winslow and get to know these people, because once we're more connected, then we're going to do better. So
Yep.
I thought, okay, we can't do a big event, but I want to showcase arts all across Arizona. So I created, if I'm being honest,
Yep.
a hybrid event where we had 10 cities involved, one restaurant in each city. So the cities were Flagstaff, Winslow, Prescott, Tucson, Yuma, and then in Phoenix, Glendale, Mesa, Paradise Valley, and Scottsdale.
Scottsdale. Yep.
10 cities, one restaurant in each city. So we had people sign up and buy tickets online, like through our regular system. With their ticket, they got dinner like they normally would at a gala. Everybody gets dinner. but they each got dinner from whatever restaurant that they were eating at. And I'll talk about the book at the end.
Yep.
Earlier, when we took nominations, and at the end of 2020, we had over 100 nominations. I think 110 almost exactly. And that's
Wow.
nominations from artists and organizations all across Arizona. We collected silent auction items, 50 silent auction items. I had about 2 to 4 volunteers in each city helping to show up at the restaurant to give out the bags. So there was like all this coordination. The really fun stuff for me this year was inviting, because I'd already been wanting to do this, fashion designers.
Yeah.
And the restaurants were the other part of it, because we want to expand. Arts and culture is so big. So we want to include fashion more and more every year. And we want to include the culinary arts more and more every year.
That's another type of art. I just didn't think about that one. Yeah. So there's the applied art and there's performance arts, and then this is perhaps another type of art. I'm sure. Yeah. The Epicurean art. Yep.
Yeah. That's because we really wanted to add to that, that gala experience. And I thought, well, why don't we have the designers and their models at each of the restaurants for people to take pictures with? So I had to find 10 photographers. Thank you to Oscar. Shout out to you. I think I found 5 of my photographers, 5 of my 10 through Oscar. Thank you, Oscar. And then, so the silent auction was happening online. And then, there was the 10 cities and one amazing night. And it honestly, for the most part, went off without a hitch. I did leave one group's name off of one slide, and I felt horrible about that. Since corrected it, but aside from that one glitch on my part, because I had been working for a week straight, and I do apologize to them. The night itself, the production of it went off without a hitch, which probably surprised me more than anybody else.
It was wonderful. I mean, we were at home, and I just was telling Gary, like, he's clicking away in the background. It's just like me. He's doing it all. So congratulations.
And you went to Barrio Cafe, yeah?
Yes, we went to Barrio Cafe. I think I have pictures here that I can share with you. But yeah, we went to Barrio Cafe, and when we actually we coordinated with Bob Cooper, who we know got his award, his lifetime achievement award, and then we just wanted to hang out. They brought the little baby Gidget, the little doggy, all dressed up. So it was very cool. It was actually very, very cool, and congratulations. And once again, this is all from one person. And once again, is one person. You have all a shield to go and get funds for all the artists throughout Arizona. That those funds later will become grants that they can apply for. That's now, COVID. I want to just put COVID here. That was your mission before. What happened through COVID? Because I know the federal government gave funds to help through COVID. Is that part of the money that you are lobbying right now, or extra funds? Were you able to rescue some money out of that?
A little bit, yes. So.
Okay.
Not enough. I mean, so the federal government, did help. The commission got, a grant through the NEA that helped a tiny bit. I mean, I think it was like, so last budget year with the legislature, they did a skinny budget. So they put everybody at zero who wasn't automatically in the budget, which was, and the arts were one of them. Thankfully, the Governor Ducey put $2 million in there, which would have been about what we would have received. The commission got a small amount from the NEA that they immediately gave out. So right now is a really important time for anybody listening. Right now, we are in that legislative budgeting process. So right now is the time to call your legislators and your governor and say, the arts are important to me because A, B, and C, whatever you want to say, make it personal, and say you need to fund the arts. So there is federal money that the governor still has unallocated, and he's in charge of that completely. Like, he gets to do with it, within those very loose guidelines, whatever he wants. The legislature has $1 billion surplus, $1 billion surplus from the previous year, because they were so frugal with their money, but tax revenue kept coming in, things kept happening. So we need more money. So they ask us $5 million. So if people come away with this from anything, everybody remember, we need $5 million for the arts this year, which is not even a fraction of what we've lost, but it will help keep things going and help us to reopen.
Okay, help me on that one. So there's a surplus right now on the state legislatures. That is Arizona state senators, correct?
Senators and
Congressmen
representatives, yes.
and state representatives.
In Arizona, not like Kristen Sinema and Greg Stanton.
No,
Your state
that's
senators.
national. Yeah, this is
Mhm.
all. This is here. So the idea. So then there's a surplus, and the world of arts, or at least Arizona Citizens for the Arts, is needing extra funds to give grants to artists. So it's our responsibility, I mean, for sure, to call them and ask them for support, or ask them to support it. I mean, should I ask to support it and give the extra because of COVID, or should I say, we went through COVID, so it is time for you to like squeeze a little more money than the one that you usually uh, lobby for every year to
Yeah.
my state senator or my Congress, my representative. Is that okay? Is that the way?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it can be really simple. The arts were hit the hardest, and please give them $5 million. And that's the number that's in the Arizona Commission on the Arts budget request, $5 million. So
Okay.
the arts were hit, again, arguably the hardest. So they
Yep.
need more money. And that number is $5 million.
So this is, I was listening to your interview in 99.9 the other day, or like actually this afternoon, and
Mhm.
I know that the world of sports gets a lot of money. They are super rich in terms of funds, and they do help. Don't get me wrong; they do
Mhm.
give back to the community. I mean, there's a lot of
Mhm.
foundations that these sports, that these athletes give back, but the wall of
Mhm.
arts always falls in all the way to the back. And guess
Mhm.
what? Through the pandemic, the music that you listen to, the shows that you watch on TV, the performances that you watch, where we were inside your house, four walls, that all comes out of artists that right now are needing our help. So they put the work to do what they did, and now they are left behind. Those people need to they have to survive in some cases, or continue to thrive in some others. And that's, I keep saying, that's my message. Remember the pandemic, the song that you like, the book that you wrote, that performance that you watched two or three times, the theater on demand, the shows, the TV, the movies, all that becomes and is part of the world of arts. So I believe it's our time to say thank you to the artists by supporting them
Mm.
more than
I love the
ever.
way you said that, just to thank the artists. Yeah. Because they didn't stop making work. We saw them online painting and singing and dancing and playing their guitars online for us.
And everybody clap, and it's
Artists
like,
are
no,
never going to stop.
yeah.
The time, that's so well said. If I can steal that, Oscar, the time is now to thank the artists and give them that support.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they help us emotionally to go through all this. The first days of the pandemic, those were not easy. When those
Mhm.
planes were like flying above us and everybody was, and plus we were going through elections. What a beautiful life we had. It was just, yeah, and then January 6th happened, and oh, good Lord, trust me, it's
Mhm.
just internet went on like battle internet, what to say, but I just don't want to get into politics. But you know that the support that we are giving those artists that is the one that allow us to go through what we're going through. So I know that this is very emotional for me, because I believe in Arizona. I believe in our artists, the art itself, and the world of arts, and I believe that there is a good in each one of us in Arizona to help each other, and more so help artists, anyone who produces art. So take me back a little bit. I just want to take a quick diversion here. So the arts awards happened. Did we raise the funds that we wanted to raise, and what is going to happen with those funds?
Yeah, we did. Thank you. So, Arts
Okay.
Congress, or for Governor's Arts Awards, you mean
Yeah.
the event?
Yes, for governor's
Yeah,
arts
yeah.
award.
The
Correct.
the Governor's Arts Awards, the event went very well. We met and exceeded our budget, and that money goes to us, to operations, to keep us going. So, starting this week, we're going to be sending out some targeted e-blasts to people, get people to write their legislators. So now we're in the thick of like the political part, to say now is the time to reach out. And this kind of brings me back to maybe towards the beginning when I said, artists, art supporters, there's two things you can do. Is one, you're welcome to support us, in our direct fight, with the legislature. And I say fight with love because we have a lot of supportive people down there. But it can't happen with you. It can't be just me or without you. It cannot be just me and our lobbyist doing this job.
Yeah, so
If we all show up, if all the arts organizations, if they have somebody calling or, a couple volunteers, a bunch of your audience, if we all start showing up collectively, they will not be able to ignore us. Because most legislators do respond to like the phone calls coming in and the emails coming in. Right now, phone calls are better because everybody's getting so many emails because of the virtual world we're living in. Phone calls are a little bit better. If you're not, you can find their phone numbers on azledge.gov. It's super easy to find them.
Okay.
But call or write your legislators. We have to do it together.
So the PR process of all this, or the communication process of all this, you have an agency that helps you to go through all this. So we all know what we have to do, and then there is commercials, print, and all this stuff, or is this just that it happens naturally?
No, it's not any print or anything for the most
Organically.
part. It's mostly the social media and the e-blasts and things. So if you go to our website, azcitizensforthearts.org, sign up to get our e-blasts, or just pay attention to our social media. That's where the calls to push. And we're going to be like kind of dividing it out by legislator because we have a lot of supportive people. We want to give them thank yous, when they're supporting us.
Yeah.
And we want to put pressure on the ones who are maybe on the fence right now.
Fantastic. So I just want to share with you one quick picture. By the way, it is running down here on the tracker down here, on the ticker down here. It's running the website for Arizona Citizens for the Arts. And then you can find your legislature at arizonalegislature.com, and then make a call, better than an email. I agree with that. So then you can find support for the Wall of Arts. So thank you. This is one of the pictures that I wanted to share, is Galina Mihaleva, that she's in Singapore. Thank you, Galina, for the help. One of her designs at Barrio Cafe, Silvana Esparza's chef, Silvana Esparza's restaurant, getting ready for the red carpet for the Governor's Arts Awards 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. And yeah, my God, it's like, time is passing by really fast. And then Gary and I had a chance to go and then go to Barrio Cafe, and it was quite the event. It was fantastic. Fantastic turnout. But thank you. And there's something that I know about you, like you just said, you fall in love with things, and you fall in love with emotions, and reminded me of your dad and your relationship with your dad. And in one conversation, one Zoom call, it was one of the first ones that we had with Ruby Farias and Katrina Keller, that were part of the committee. And then I saw you in the background with some snow, and I'm like, I was the first one to ask, like, what is that snow? What is that picture? What is this picture? I mean, Joe, what is that picture? I was like, oh, well, let me see if I can see it, if I can just pull it out of there. But actually, let me see. I don't know how to do this. Actually, no, I'm not gonna try to get it out of that one, because I want you to see this. And I'm not endorsing BW.
You are really good at that, Oscar. Oh my gosh.
I wanted to show you, it's part of your life. So tell me the story of the BW. This was so good.
Yeah. So that is my grandfather's VW. He had a bunch of them. That one was in his garage for well over 10 years. And I kept asking him, Grandpa, can I have that VW, that bus? And nope, I'm going to fix it up someday. And again, he had it for a long time. And then in the the summer of 2008, I asked him and I said, Grandpa, can I have that VW bus? And he was like, okay. And I'm like, what? And my aunt was living with them at the time. I think it was just him at that point. My grandmother had passed. So I towed it home. It was in Southern California where I spent every summer with them. And I towed it back to Phoenix and I put it in my mom's garage. And I worked on it for a year. And I always say to people, I did everything on it twice. I did it my way and then I would research it and do it the right way. But I fixed up the whole thing by myself and got it restored. And then the next, like June of 2009, I drove it back out to California on its maiden voyage and took my grandfather and some of my family, my cousin, my aunt, on a picnic. So we all went on a picnic, in the bus, and then my grandfather actually passed like just a few months later. After that, but he got to ride in it one more time. And then I came back, and that's actually when I started grad school. So I drove it to New York, and then that's where the snow is. Most people know you don't get that kind of snow here in Phoenix.
Nope, you don't.
So that is parked in Brooklyn where I lived. I lived in Bushwick when I went to NYU. And so that is George is the bus's name. So for anybody that used to watch the Bugs Bunny cartoons, there was that big red hairy monster, and he captured Daffy Duck. And he said, I will love him and pet him and call him George.
Oh.
And so the bus's name is George. That's George we're looking at. So George, I was in New York and then finished grad school and came back, but drove him all the way to and from. And my brother drove with me on the way back. We took Route 66 most of the way back. And I still drive George regularly. As you can see, there's lots of different pictures in there. My best friend was in there from junior high. He's still around. And my niece, my brother. So
George is being part of your life and still is part of your life. I loved to see all the pictures of the VW getting all spruced up and getting all prettied up, but I didn't know that you still have it, right? You still drive it.
When it was light outside, you could actually see it. It's through that. Through that window right there under my carport. Yeah.
Well, this has been an incredible sit down. I wish we had more time, and we can be here for a while because I know there's a lot of aspects and a lot of facets of your life that I would have loved to get deeper into from your very tailored, how I say this, very easy way to do things, to lobby for other artists and to keep other artists, how do I say this nicely, not nicely, in a good way, keep other artists having the possibility to create and the funds to continue their creativity. So it requires a lot of these pictures. It requires a lot of mingling, talking, doing presentations and talking to people, making people aware. So there is a lot of these that I would love for one day to sit down and get to talk to you about. What are your tips? Actually, let me see before we go, because I don't have to go anywhere. I don't know if you have to go anywhere, but
I just have to do laundry. So you're keeping me from laundry, so I'm okay.
Just put it inside out tomorrow. But put them inside out tomorrow. It's all Zoom calls. But question: if you can give me tips, like what tips can you give me to go to someone and then lobbying a check for a nonprofit, like easy on a party or on a gathering or a meeting, even in a Zoom call? Hey, I'll call you. This is what I need help with.
Yeah, so I actually do have one tip that I've come up with. Is I tell people that lobbying is so many good people. Lobbying is a 1-2 punch. So lobbying is first data. So, and it doesn't matter who you're talking to. If you're talking to a legislator or a friend or a donor, say, we serve this many people, we serve hundreds of kids or thousands of seniors, or we saved one life this year. So first, have the data. Another part of the data is to say that Arizona is about 46th on average in funding in the country. Like, I don't want to be 46th. I want to aspire to be average. I want to aspire to be like 25.
We're
like
46 in the
how big is
nation on funding for
46
art.
in the nation for arts? Yeah.
Well,
So have
wow.
that data first, and then the second sort of punch that takes it home is the personal story. So whether that's your personal story of what the arts do for you every day, or whether it's a friend or family member, and talk about the kids who get to go to arts classes after school and that keeps them
Yeah.
busy, or the veteran who said arts class saved his life. Or I remember talking to a an older couple, a senior couple, and he had retired, and she was already taking painting class, and she was really worried about her husband because he had retired. He didn't have a plan, like he didn't know what he was going to do.
Oh,
And so
wow.
she finally like drug him to arts class, and he didn't want to go, and he was like artsy fartsy, whatever. And this guy has not stopped painting since he came to that arts class. He's found his second passion in life.
There you go.
And he never even would have looked twice. He never looked twice at art before that. And that's not true
Wow.
for every single person. For some people it is, sports or animals or whatever. But for most of us, there is a big chunk of the arts in our lives. As you said very eloquently earlier, it's it's in our houses, it's in our music, it's on our walls if we have art, it's on our drive to work with the murals.
Yeah.
It's the artistry that goes into the streaming, the video services that we have. Like,
Yeah.
art is truly everywhere. That's what makes it so hard to measure sometimes. Because
Hmm.
if art is in every moment of our life, it's in our clothing, it's in the wallpaper behind you, and the clothing that you're wearing. If it's in every part of our lives, like, how do you measure every moment of your life being
And
made more beautiful?
it should be financially feasible and financially supported. Two things that I know
Yes.
about the world of arts that we don't have when it comes to arts is you need funding and you need to know how to manage that money. And that's
Mhm.
something where a person like you comes in, that decided that is not going to be your trade. You went from being an actor to be an administrator, and look how many artists around the state you are helping with your work. So thank you so much. And before
Can
I
I
left you,
can I add one thing? Sorry, I
yeah,
just want to add
absolutely.
this one thing to you,
Yeah,
something that you said, if I may, because I
yeah.
heard you say, you have to learn to market yourself. You have to learn,
Hmm.
about your taxes. I would love to add to that, though. Some people can learn that and become good at that. I would like to add, or partner. So maybe
Oh,
you can learn good marketing on your own, do your own social media,
yep.
or I'm a big fan of like barter. So like maybe you barter with somebody who's good at social media and you give them one painting a year in payment for that, or do something else for them with your art. So that way there's still an exchange of goods and services. So maybe not everybody can learn, the marketing or the accounting or what you need to do as a business, but I think everybody can find someone to do that and to barter with them. So you're equally exchanging.
And that's where the word community comes along,
Mm-hmm.
because we need each other to move forward. And if you create your micro community of people that help you and your own network, then you can go into the big community because you have support. The accountant, the person who does the marketing, the person who does knows how to fill out government paperwork for you to get stuff out, to get support, etc., etc. Thank you for that advice. And if you're watching, please call your legislators, because we need more funds for the Wall of Art. We have the money, but it needs to be lobbied. And that's what Joseph, through Arizona Citizens for the Arts, that's what they do. Now, there's one thing that before I let you go, another one. I was one thing, but I want to know, when did you learn capoeira?
Capoeira. So I had always loved seeing capoeira. I had seen it at ASU, and I've done a little bit of martial arts here and there. And when actually I went to the YMCA, so I was living in downtown Phoenix, where I lived mostly in, I don't know, 2007 maybe, and the YMCA had it. So I started taking classes, and I fell in love with it, and played it very consistently for about 3 years.
Wow.
I played it a little bit in New York when I was there, but it was harder because I had a full-time job and I was in grad school.
Yeah.
And then a little bit since then. I have not played it consistently since probably 2009, but I love capoeira. It's one of, I mean, people just need to look it up because it's amazing. It's music, it's martial arts, it's community, it's circular.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah.
It's a community, it's a community type of exercise. No, let me see. It's a community type of culture because it has music, like you said, dance, and it has a very beautiful link to our past, to Africa.
Mhm.
So and hit me, by the way, because I know some
Mhm.
of the local capoeira dancers and the people that dance capoeira locally. If you ever want to like restart or at least just be part of the group once all this COVID situation passes. Question: Are you
Mhm.
vaccinated?
I am fully vaccinated. Two
Yes.
times.
Yeah, same here. Two, like we watch BBC here at home or Sky News, and they're like 2 jabs. I'm like, jabs? What are you talking about? So we got our jabs on. So get your jab on.
hmm
So
Get your
to
job on.
close, your thoughts to I'm gonna leave the screen is yours. I'm just gonna like fluff away, and I would love for you to give a message to the community. Once you finish, just say thank you, and then I'll come back. But I would love for you to give us, all of us as a community, a message now that we're about to get out of COVID and what is about to come. So the floor is all
Mhm.
yours.
Mm. Whew. So I think I would pick up with what I have touched on is to say that that love is infinite, and if you're able and if it's safe for you to share your love with whoever is in your community and even beyond your community, and I say that I mean our brothers and sisters at the border, our brothers and sisters who don't look like us, who are in different social political spheres. Love is infinite. And then the second thing I would say on that, is the arts have been hit the hardest. And if you can, show back up, make sure you go back to those places that you were supporting and continue to give them your support, whether that's buying tickets or a subscription or just a regular donation. You're certainly always invited to donate to us because I'm not ever going to stop fighting for the arts. I know the way it changes and saves people's lives. And then, also look to those places that we haven't supported, maybe historically. There's a lot of great youth-run organizations. They're our future, so support them. But for me, it always begins and ends as my mom did and talked with us. It always begins and ends with love. So love is infinite, and if we remind ourselves of that, then we'll have a lot less fear and things to worry about in life. Yeah.
Thank you so much for those words. Those are fantastic, and I appreciate you and appreciate your time. And as my friend Letitia told me yesterday, I see you.
Mm,
So
thank you.
thank you so much utterly for this hour and something of a great conversation about Joseph Benesh, the world of arts, Arizona's Citizens for the Arts, and what is about to come, which is going to be a fantastic party post-COVID when we are all vaccinated. And
Mm-hmm.
life will
So
resume to
ready.
its best. So thank you so much, Joseph, and appreciate you tremendously. I will send you the videos, and I all that I have to say is incredibly thankful for your time.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you for what you're doing. You're the
Thank you.
real deal.
All right, we will see you soon. Bye bye. And that was Joseph Benesh. I mean, this got really emotional. I got really emotional at some point. Thank you, Joseph. It was, when someone speaks from the heart and have the tradition to value that thought process, they are golden. And we have another person in our community who is golden and is walking the walk and talking the talk. And talking the talk, I would definitely urge you to call your legislatures. What Joseph just said is incredibly important for the community, more so during the COVID times, during the pandemic. We're still through it. Some people, oh, when the pandemic's still on. So please be careful. So let me tell you more. What's going to happen this month? So so it was Easter. Then we have Joseph Benesh today, but I want to show you what is going to happen the next 2 Sundays here at Oscar Talks. Check this out. So you've seen that ad running through online, and it's going to continue to run this April because the system does it automatically. But you haven't seen this one, which is my guest next Sunday. So we have Mary Way, or Mary Coleman Way, next Sunday, and I think she speaks Japanese. I don't know how fluently, but I think she does, because her Instagram is Mary in Japan, and I know they lived in Japan. So we will see how next Sunday goes with. I'm going to ask her to tell us some things in Japanese. How about that? And I want to know what Southwest Shakespeare is doing currently, and what are the plans for Southwest Shakespeare coming back post-COVID. So this was everything from me today. I don't have anything else to add other than thank you. Is 7:30. It's been an hour and a half of conversations with Joseph Benesh. A little bit of what happened last week. Society of Chairs once again. I'm going to put this again so you guys won't forget. So that's going to be Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. So it's a Wednesday. And you can go and get tickets at frontdoorsmedia.com, or contact Andrea Evans, who is the publisher, at Andrea at frontdoorsmedia.com. And hello, Billy Joe Herberger and Judd Herberger. They watch the show every Sunday because we went to visit the other day with Gary, and they're like, "Oh, we're fans of your show." So thank you so much for watching. I'm sure they're watching and having California Chardonnay tonight without us. Oh, the pink stopper. I have to bring it back. Thank you, Judd. Thank you, Billy Joe, for your support to the world of arts. So this is for me today, and I want to say thank you to all of you for tuning in, and we will see you on our next episode of Oscar Talks. Oscar Talk.